Awesome. Well, we're here live at HIMSS in Vegas. We got Dr. Ryan Vega, Chief Health Officer at Vantiq. So glad you're here. It's awesome to have you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Happy to have you. Yeah, well, let's jump right into this conversation, man. So first of all, tell me about your experience at HIMSS so far and the areas that you've been specifically interested in.
Yeah, this is my fourth time coming to HIMSS.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And what I can tell that is dramatically different
Right.
is every single company is talking about AI.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's becoming even more clear
Yes.
that this is sort of the transformation
That's
that we
correct.
all expect it to be.
That's right.
But we're also recognizing that the market is sort of declaring itself that if you're not positioning, if you're not doing something with artificial intelligence,
Right.
you will be left behind.
You're a game. You're not in the game. Exactly.
And so that's a huge difference from
Right.
4 years ago,
Right.
which is not a long
That's
period of
right.
time,
That's right.
where you were hearing about it, but
Yep.
it was not every single vendor.
Oh, and people were quite honestly pushing back on it. It's like,
That's
oh,
right.
I'm not ready for this AI thing. Is it really tested? You know, what's the efficacy of it? All of that. So to see it now, the companies now doubling down on it is really amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's an incredible change in such a short period of time.
That's right. Absolutely.
I mean, like I saw when I was on my way here, I think it was 3.5 million raised for Anthropic, and it's like 65 billion now. It's
Right.
about, I mean,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And you look at some of these valuations and you wonder, are these
Yes.
sustainable?
Exactly.
And I don't have a crystal ball,
Yeah.
but what I do know is that this isn't just some tool.
Right.
It really does seem
Right.
like AI will unleash this sort of cognitive renaissance
Right.
where now the work that I may hire someone to
Sure.
do, for example, professional services,
Right.
creating PowerPoints or helping me do a presentation,
Right.
I can just go to an AI system that does it for me.
That spits it right on out, right?
Right? And that means that you're going to see new waves of productivity that we certainly have.
Yeah. Yes.
You're going to see people moving away from traditional jobs and unfortunately being replaced by
Right.
these systems. But that means that just like in the era of the internet, I think this will be big.
Right.
New careers, new jobs being created. We
That's
haven't
correct.
predicted yet.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the good, bad, ugly, and the promise.
Yes.
of AI.
I like that.
Right. You talked a little bit about some of the good.
Yeah.
If you have other things to share, that's great. But let's talk about the challenges and then the promise of this as well.
Yeah, we were talking
Yeah.
about this right before.
Right.
Live. I think the opportunities are clear. And I think it's pretty evident just by walking around the show floor.
Right.
This isn't going anywhere.
That's right. To your point, everybody's AI enabled in
Right.
some way.
How do you reliably do this at scale?
Mm-hmm.
And where do you really start?
Right.
Meaning, how does an organization understand and weed through all of the noise and the hype
Exactly.
and find the right use cases and match that with the right technical capabilities that they
Right.
possess
Right.
and get started in a way that starts to enable them to be on this transformation journey,
Mm-hmm.
but in also a way that allows them to learn as they go and to be adaptive and sort of responsive.
Sure.
Because one thing is clear as well, this is moving so fast.
Absolutely.
To your point, Anthropic is a multi-billion-dollar company. Look at how fast their models are evolving. I mean,
Right.
look at DeepSeek coming.
That's right.
soon, right?
That's right. They're right.
How do you keep up with this?
Yes.
And so organizations, I think, are struggling. They're seeing how fast it's moving,
Mm-hmm.
but they're having a very hard time just keeping up. So I
Oh,
think
sure.
that's the challenge, and the bad is like this is moving faster than any of us can sort of really comprehend.
You're right.
And how do you make sense of what's real and what's not?
That's right. And it's interesting. We talked a little bit before the beginning of this recording about the change in the role of the CIO, right?
Right.
And having to become much more versed in this. And what you're also seeing develop in many healthcare organizations is chief artificial intelligence officers
Yes.
now. And so folks who are specifically dedicated to nothing but understanding this industry and developing the business strategy around how they're going to leverage AI in the future, separate and apart from the day-to-day role of a CIO.
Yeah.
So I'm curious from your perspective, you talked about, the myriad of companies that are here and the challenges organizations have. Give us what are those top 3 or 5 things that an organization needs to be thinking about as they decide they want to now dip their toe in the water of AI?
Yeah. So one thing I think that's really telling, if you look over the past 5 years, the sort of buy versus build versus where internal development's occurring is shifting dramatically.
Right.
And so organizations are looking for capabilities that they possess that allow them to bring all these systems together, but also give them an agile way to do their own development.
Sure.
Because this sort of over-reliance on vendors who aren't able to move as fast as you need to
Right.
move is sort of becoming, I would say, a disparity that they say, look, we've got to close that
That's
gap.
interesting. Yeah.
So I think the first place is, what are those capabilities out there that organizations are looking for to adopt? The second is ensuring you've got the right foundation. I always use this sort of, being from New Orleans,
Right.
I always talk about, look, if you build a home in New Orleans, the first thing you don't do is put the foundation down.
Right.
You got to drive pilings.
Oh, interesting.
Or the foundation
Right.
will sink.
Exactly.
So the foundation is only as good
Right.
as what's supporting that foundation.
Sure.
So what's the culture of the organization? What's the real foundations? Recognizing this isn't just another tool.
Right.
This is
It's a fundamental shift. That's right.
Absolutely. So, and then third, where do you start? How do you really find the use cases that are going to solve real problems that maybe you haven't been able to solve before, allow you to demonstrate value of these new types of capabilities, and get your organization on the path to moving quickly? So I think of it, simplify it 3 things. First is foundation and,
Right.
and sort of culture around this.
Exactly.
What's the internal capabilities that you need to close
Right.
or have? And 3 is, what are those use cases that are really going to help your organization grab a hold of this new type of capability and really start to learn from it and go forward?
No, it's great.
And Dr. Ryan Vega, you're at Vantiq. Can you weave a little bit of, I feel like you guys have been doing this before everyone was talking about it. You guys kind of are a leader in sort of doing this. Would you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, so if you think of a multi-agentic system, really what this is just a collection of agents. But
Sure.
one of the things we do in the platform, and one of the things we do with a lot of our customers and clients, is we make it really visible and clear when an agent's operating, what is it thinking in terms of the steps that it's going to take, actually writing those out, so that as a clinician or as an administrator, I can go, okay, yes, that makes sense
Right.
in its thought process. Being able to audit, we were talking about this too, the solution, and
Right.
understand what is it doing and why, what did it get right, what did it get wrong, storing that information in a way that becomes retrievable so the system can learn. These are things we've built into the platform, and one of the things that becomes really impactful is when people see this, they not only go, wow, I mean, it is pretty cutting edge,
Right.
but it's this level of trust.
Sure.
Because when I understand what the system's doing and why, it makes me a little bit more comfortable in saying, yeah, I'll test this out.
That's right. Well, and to your point, I know you're a clinician as well too. It's all about the efficacy of the data, right? The insights that you're getting from it, and that's been part of the resistance that the industry has had for quite a while. Is how do we ensure that this data that these systems are generating are really have a high level of quality, efficacy, and accuracy, built into it. So it's interesting to hear how your organization is taking an approach behind that. And then I'm also curious from your perspective, as we talk about error rate, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier. What's an acceptable error rate in the industry around when these technologies don't deliver what we expect? Just like there's an error rate with human beings. So
That's right.
just curious about your comments. I know there's probably no measure today,
There
but
isn't.
but
But there's no magic answer
Right,
to this,
right.
or there's no easy way to sort of rationalize through this. I think
right.
as a clinician, I'm held to a particular standard. When I think of when I'm in the hospital and I'm seeing patients, I use resources like UpToDate or any evidence
Sure.
if I'm really trying to make sure that a test that I want to order or a medication I want to prescribe or what's the next best course of action, I'm kind of bouncing that off of colleagues, or I'm bouncing it off of literature or evidence to make sure that I'm sound in my decision making. Does it mean I'm right 100% of the time? No, but I'm at least guided by something. And
Right.
from a legal standpoint, we sort of think about malpractice. What does that really mean from a medical standpoint? And there's a sort of an easy way to look at it, right? I can look at the body of evidence. I can get a group of clinicians together and say, yeah, no, this person did what's right and
Right.
didn't really deviate. They
Exactly.
didn't intentionally do something or miss something in which
Sure.
they were malpractice was provided. But that's also done in the context that data is always changing, or sorry, say evidence is always
Right.
changing. practicing medicine today is not the way it was 10 years ago.
That's correct.
So for me, one of the things we really think about with Vantiq is how do these systems become agile enough that they can keep up with how fast things are moving? And this goes to being agnostic.
Exactly.
And this goes to the agility in the platform, so that if a model comes out that was better than the model yesterday, how do you quickly change that out? How do you continuously have that resilience as an organization so that you're always ahead of this and you're keeping pace and recognizing that there really isn't a perfect answer to what is acceptable risk, other than I think of the oath that I took, and sort of the same thing I think we expect of AI systems: do no harm.
Exactly.
So, as you're here at HIMSS, sharing this conversation, what are some things you're wanting to take with you and kind of see happen this year?
Yeah, I think one of the things we as a company are doing is really having a lot of conversations with companies that are building the application.
Right,
so
right.
we're a platform company. We provide the infrastructure to build these solutions. Finding those individuals who are really trying to push the envelope and deliver these solutions and make a difference in the lives of clinicians, or more importantly, patients.
Sure.
I think when we find those companies really understanding what are the technical capabilities that they're looking for, that they may be struggling with the existing software platforms or solutions that they're using. So that's a big focus for us. And then second, it's really trying to have these types of conversations.
Right.
Because one of the things I spend a lot of my time doing is talking to customers and clients about where and how do I apply this tech?
That's right.
And so the more that we're talking and hearing and understanding what are people concerned about, what are they focused on?
That's right.
What are the solutions that they're looking for? It helps inform myself, and by virtue of myself, the company
Right.
really have these conversations in a way that people begin to trust us more, or know that we're really looking to be a partner with them.
Sure.
We're not just looking to make a transaction.
No, makes perfect sense. I mean, we could talk about AI and the future of it, and for the next hour, but we're going to respect your time and let you get back to your clients and the activities that are taking place here at the conference. But if someone wanted to find out more about your company, reach out to you, explore this conversation in greater detail.
Yeah, it's real easy.
Yeah, how would they do it?
R as in red, V as in Victor, EGA at Vantiq.
Wonderful.
VANTIQ.com.
There you go.
Reach out to me. Again, we've got a booth here with one of our partners, Ingram.
What's your booth number?
It is.
Hate to put you on the spot, but if that's okay.
3400.
3400. There you go.
So we're in the Ingram Micro booth. They're one of our distributors and great partners.
Wonderful.
So people who come stop by, we've got a number of demos and a number of client engagements set up tomorrow and Thursdays.
Sounds great. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
appreciate you
Enjoyed the
both.
conversation. Yeah.